Every summer Top 100. Every summer Top 100. He's got a voice that's really the bomb. He'll make a choice that'll aggravate Tom. I hate to spoil it, but when all's said and done, Merchant of Venus gonna be number one. Every summer Top 100. Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to my Top 100. I'd like to address a concern that some have expressed in the Facebook group about these individual Top 100 videos lacking the back and forth that you get from a group video in Dice Tower headquarters. Now, I can't do a lot about that because I'm up in Connecticut and Dice Tower headquarters is in Florida. So I have to work with what I've got. So I guess these guys can provide the reactionary commentary that you're looking for.
Okay, why is Merchant of Venus always your number one? There is no reason for it to be your number one every single time.
Well, okay. We're still workshopping it. Let's get to the games.
Number 70, Codenames.
This is the Codenames collection, and it's not even all of them that are out there. We've got the Marvel and the Disney-themed ones, the Harry Potter and Codenames Duet, which is a two-player edition of the game, Codenames Pictures, and of course, the original Codenames right there. Codenames is a game where you are trying to give clues to your teammates that relate to an array of words that are out on the table. Ideally, a single one-word clue that is going to associate with several of the words that you're trying to get your teammates to guess. But you can do it one at a time. It's just not very efficient. And the goal is to get your teammates to guess all of your words while avoiding not only the other team's words, but also the assassin. That is sort of the ultimate insta-lose if you manage to hit that one. It's a thinky game. There's a lot of thinking and staring at the board in this one. So it doesn't really fit into the party game category, even though you can play it with larger groups, large teams, and I think it's best when played with large teams. But this is that sort of cerebral party game that I really like, cerebral word game. Codenames. Check it out.
Number 69, Ant-like.
Ant-like?
It looks like that.
Antica.
Oh, Antica. I thought the I was another L.
Antique. Number 69, Antica.
Antica at number 69 is the first of two Mac Gertz games on my list. Antica uses Gertz's familiar rondel mechanism, where you have a sort of a circular action track, and you start out in one position, the last action you took, and you can move, I think, up to 3 spaces for free, but you can pay to move a little farther around the rondel and choose the action that you want. Some of them acquire income, others spend the income. In fact, Antica is pretty straightforward with that dichotomy. About half the spaces bring in things, and then half the spaces spend those things, and they're usually opposite on the rondel. So you can't just go, I get this stuff and I use it next turn. You have to take a little extra time to go around the whole action track. Anyway, big map, lots of little dudes running around. You can build civilization pieces. You're claiming territory, all in the goal of acquiring various goal cards. Some of them are about that claiming of territory. Some are about winning battles. Some are about building temples. Some are about gaining technology on a technology track. And it's a race to a certain number of victory points, but you can go in lots of different directions. And I like that about Antica because I tend not to like the combat aspect of this style of game. I'd rather build my technology tree. I'd rather gain resources and do cool stuff like that. And this game lets me do that. Of course, I have to watch out for my opponents who are also building up the military side, but I can get a couple victory points on that end and then work on the stuff that I much more enjoy doing in Antica. It is a solid game. There are revised rules that you can play with Antica 2, which is, a different way to play. Lots of bits in here, lots of coins to acquire in those different resources. It's a cool resource management race to the victory points game, and it's my number 69, Antica.
What even is an Antica? Sounds like it's old. It needs to go in an Antica store.
Number 68, Strike.
Strike did not make it on the list 3 years ago, but it has definitely shot up quite a bit. This is another one that gets pulled out anytime we have a few minutes to kill and really just want to throw some dice and have some fun. It is a simple game. You have a bowl that is made up of this portion of the box. There you go. It has a little padding in the bottom, and there's a bunch of dice that you will toss into the center, and you have to throw at least one die on your turn, but you can push your luck and throw more. Anytime you make a combination, a pair or more of matching values with the dice, you get to remove those dice and keep them. If you don't, however, you can continue to throw dice until you decide to pass. Of course, any of the X's removed from the board, and you're trying to be the last one standing still with dice. There's also this mechanism that if you manage to remove all of the dice from the bowl, the next player has to throw all of their dice into the center, and that's funny. It's super funny. Strike, working its way up the list because it sees a lot of playtime in the Summerer house.
Why is it so low on the list?
We should strike this list. Strike, 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 strike.
Number 67, Wingspan.
Hello and welcome to the lower shelves. Wingspan is a lovely tableau building game about birds. It's tableau and engine building because you have sort of a grid of these bird cards, each one with a different adorable illustration and cool facts about the birds, and you are placing them down onto this grid, and then every time you take the action that corresponds to that row, you then get to trigger all of the birds. You sort of take the action, then work your way backward and trigger all the birds in that row. So you can tune your flock, as it were, to do cool stuff like collect eggs or draw more cards or trade out cards or achieve other extra goals. It's fascinating in all the different birds and the way they interact and how you can get that fine-tuned engine going on. It's one that my kids have played successfully. I played a lot online lately. That was one that came up a lot. In fact, I did a whole tournament of Wingspan. It's a blast. Accessible with the theme, and really cool to sort of fine-tune your flock. I really enjoy Wingspan.
Flappity flap flap.
Number 66, Meeple Circus.
Meeple Circus has fallen just a little bit to number 66. It was in the 50s last time we did the list. It is a dexterity game with a circus theme and some standard Euro mechanisms. You have piece drafting. You have to draft the pieces that will go into the production of your circus act. You have special scoring conditions that you will draft, all sorts of elements that all come together, but ultimately you have to perform in order to score points in Meeple Circus, and that is a timed aspect with an app that plays music with cymbal crashes and applause and all sorts of stuff, and at certain points in the game you might have to run around the table or stand up and take a bow. All in the name of creating this tableau of 3D meeples that all stand up and defy gravity and stand on top of each other's heads and use apparatuses. The expansions only add to the chaos as you add additional pieces and animals to the whole mix. It's a delight and one that always sees us laughing when we pull it out. And usually at a family gathering is when it hits most recently. It's just adorable. It's adorable, but it has a core of Euro, thinkiness to it in the pieces that you draft, in the risks that you take as you play Meeple Circus. Number 66.
Why? Number 65, Can't Stop.
Number 65 is the Press Your Luck classic, Can't Stop, from Sid Saxon. It's got a big old stop sign shaped board, and you're trying to work your way up the columns that are represented by different die values. You roll 4 dice on your turn, you combine those 4 dice into 2 pairs of numbers, and then you get to place these temporary markers out on the board. Then comes the decision. You can stop and take whatever progress you've made up to that point, or you can keep rolling. The key is that you can only work on 3 different values in a round. So if I continue, as long as I have more of those temporary markers, I have 3 of those, and I can keep putting them out or advancing them every time I roll, I get to keep going. But if I roll anything that does not allow me to do that, I bust and I lose all progress for that turn. So it's a wonderful push your luck game, very straightforward, easy to understand, but delightfully frustrating. It's a blast. Can't stop.
Grandma would have ranked it higher.
Number 64, Scout.
Scout is new to the list at number 64, but as soon as I played it, I immediately fell in love with it. Scout is a trick-taking, ladder-climbing style card game where you're trying to play cards from your hand in order to go out first. But the trick is that you cannot rearrange the cards in your hand. So you have to sort of position the cards and acquire cards into your hand to create combinations, pairs, runs of cards to beat what happens to be on the table. So you can either play a combination that beats what's on the table, or you can scout, taking a card from what's in the center and putting it anywhere in your hand you want. Oh, did I mention that the cards are dual-sided? So you flip the card over, it has a different value on it. So when I take a card from the center, I can put it anywhere I want in whatever orientation I want. So there's all sorts of options as I make my hand better so that I can make a cool play later on down the line. Hopefully doing so faster than my opponents, while they then have to take negative points. It's a great game, very different Scout, and I'm very glad that it's more available right now. Check it out.
Grandma would have ranked that higher as well.
Number 63, Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition.
Beating out its big brother at number 63 is Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition, which I believe is actually just called Ares Expedition now. This is the card game version of Terraforming Mars. It has a little bit faster playtime. It also has sort of a race for the galaxy feel to it, as you are selecting actions that allow you to play certain cards to the table and acquire income and that sort of thing. And if you choose that action, then you get the full bonus-filled version of that, but then everybody else gets to do that action as well in a slightly lesser version. A system that's done in many games, but it really works for the Terraforming Mars theme, the system. I just got the cooperative expansion for this. Haven't had a chance to play it yet. But just in a competitive form, Ares Expedition, I think, improves upon the original and is going to see more playtime, has seen more playtime in my house, which is why it's farther up on the list. Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition.
I could have done a better job explaining it, and I haven't even played that game.
Number 62, Concordia.
Concordia at number 62 is my highest ranked Mac Gertz game. I used to have lots of Mac Gertz games on my list, and only the two, Antica and this one, have stuck around. Concordia takes the rondel mechanism that Mac Gertz is so well known for and turns it into a deck of cards. Actually makes it more of a deck building mechanism as you're collecting resources and spreading out on the board, but this is all determined by the cards in your hand. You have a whole array of cards with different actions, and you will play them when you want to do a particular action. But you don't get that card back until you spend one specific card to take all your cards back. And the longer you go, the more cards you use before you take them all back, the more of a reward you get. But you might want to be more efficient by resetting your hand and having all of your options open rather than just the limited few that you still have in your hand. Then you're taking cards into your hand by acquiring more of them, which then tunes your deck to be able to do a particular action more often. And it's also the scoring at the end of the game. So the more of a particular card you get into your deck, the more points you will get for doing a particular thing on the board. Whew, a lot to tune, a lot to figure out, a lot to watch as your opponents. Have you spent that card yet? Have you spent both versions of that card yet that I know you have in your hand? Concordia is a lovely puzzle.
What is a Concordia?
I got nothing.
Number 61, Century, Spice Road?
Century Space Road sounds awesome.
Spice Road.
Century Spice Road is an Emerson Matsuuchi game about, the Spice Road. It's an engine builder. You are trading certain types of spices for other types of spices. It's a sort of a card-based economy. As you play cards, you'll translate some cubes into other cubes. And in the goal of completing orders, which will earn you, of course, points, and trying to do that more efficiently than your opponents. Century is, of course, part of a larger system. There are 3 games in the trilogy, and if you noticed, I only have 2 of them. I really do need to fill that last one, that last slot over there. But this is the best of the group. It's the original core of the system, and it's what the whole thing sort of revolves around if you're adding the other games into the system. Spice Road is a lovely game, cool engine builder, easy to grasp, and easy to get to the table. Century, Spice Road.
Is that the same thing as Oregon Trail?
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Could have done that outro better.
Yeah, and in a shirt that's not as tacky.
Every summer, top 100. Every summer, top 100. Every summer, top 100. Every summer, top 100. Yeah.